to 2-1. It feels like kind of we're back in where we expected to be today. But if Home Alive on blue side can get this win, I think, and I know this is a little bit crazy, but we might be able to get something that at least comes close to the incredible final that we had in spring. That one's going to be tough to top. We'll see as we get into the draft here. Home Alive now for the first time on blue side.
Now, I think that GENG will still likely ban Ziggs. We will see, though, because you know Viper, he doesn't like to play it. He said that in the Trash Talk interview. It has not looked as good as Paige's Ziggs. It was able to shut down Guma's yesterday without really picking up the pick. But we'll see if that is going to be a first pickable pick here for Hanwha Life if it's left open. Blitzcrank Tristana taken away. And taking away that Tristana and that snowballing means we're likely looking for a scaling pick. The respawn of the Smolder ban, I think, is fantastic here for GENG. A great read. They banned it in the previous game. They'll take it away from Zeka again here. What the final ban going to be? The Ziggs was the choice for Hanwha Life both times in a row.
Maokai. It has to be Maokai.
Has to be Maokai.
Oh my goodness. Okay, they're going to trade Ziggs and Maokai in this situation. That is a gambit, if ever I've seen one, but it's got to be the tree.
I feel like it had to be the Ziggs, you know? You're playing into now the best Ziggs player in the LCK and one of the best macro teams at snowballing games.
Yes, but on the flip side, you get Maokai Jhin. And we have seen that, like we have Peanuts, Maokai, obviously self-explanatory, absolutely insane. But the fact that you can also, again, go back to the counter pick that worked so well, I do agree with you, Wolf. Let's be very clear about that. The way that GENG use Ziggs, the way that Pace plays Ziggs, incomparable to T1. But still, I think that this is a big gambit to come through here. The fact that Chovy gets to play as Corki again kind of falls by the wayside, which is insane because Corki, he's at 1 loss and 18 wins.
Now there was Ezreal, a consideration for the mid lane would be kind of crazy, but instead it's the Yone. Zeka's back on it once again, and look at that face. That is a confident man right there. Skarner's locked in.
Yeah, no, we knew that the Jace Maokai is a duo and a combo we've seen, especially in Challengers League here in Korea. It's so incredibly common, but it is so powerful, and yet Zeka's still reluctant to pick this pick into what GENG has because it's so squishy, and it means that you are basically just going to be looking for long-range damage of the Ziggs. It's hard to catch him, it's hard to punish him, it's hard to punish Corki. They opt for the Yone instead. They have some decent setup here for this pick. I do think it's quite strong, but it's not a Sejuani angle here. It's not a matchup where Zeka wins by default. It's not a matchup where he should be able to get massive advantages early. It's going to rely a lot on Peanuts early pathing. Do like this Poppy ban, though, here from GENG.
It's also a different look where both junglers are on facilitative picks as opposed to one being on facilitative, the other on a carry. One of the things that I do think Skarner itself said, though, is that normally what happens is Maokai ults, everyone has to line up, and then you can just engage on top of them. Trying to do that into a Skarner will be a lot harder, and already we see, I think the Poppy, as mentioned, is one of those picks where you can add even more lockdown on top of it. Taking it away is a good choice. I imagine we're going to end up with just a Rel Alistar handshake here, although we have seen particularly the Rel be bent away, particularly with the Maokai, because that is a really strong combo. It's going to be the Bard instead here as the final ban for GENG.
I think that we'll see a Rel ban to come through here for the side of Hanwha Life Esports, just so incredibly strong here. Once again, though, they didn't ban last time. They're like, no, it's Lehens. He doesn't pick the obvious one. Last time around, we were talking about the Braum pick with the Ashe that they did not pick. They ended up going with the Blitzcrank instead. The Alistar comes through here, expecting there's going to be a Rel lock here for Hanwha Life, because that one is left open, was they banned the Bard away. The Leona is traded with the Poppy. That is obviously very common, very strong here by Hanwha Life. Looking for Delight's Recon. Now, an iconic pick for this player, has been very strong for him. He played it yesterday, but it is going to be blind here.
There is also
into the Alistar round.
Yeah, there is also still the opportunity here with this. I think they're going to maybe look to swap. I think maybe Keen is going to, depending on the matchup, end up playing the Corki top, and Chovy's going to pick something else.
I was wondering about this one.
I don't think you can get away with it into Camille because post 6, the setup is so easy, but otherwise, I don't know why they wouldn't counterpick for Lehens. Obviously, you're always going to get counterpick for Keen. Is he going to pick something like the Jax?
That would be the skill matchup there towards the top side of the map, and I think realizing that you don't want to give Doran that ability to answer, I think that Mordekaiser really did put a bit of fear in there, as there's that skill matchup we were talking about, Counter-Strike versus Hookshot towards the top side. The battle of the side laners here in the Camille versus Jax. I think Camille is going to be a difficult champion to play into the Ziggs specifically. I feel like Satchel Charge is really, really good into the Hextech Ultimatum if you can play it right. But it's still, even in that instance, a skill matchup.
I feel like when I look at this draft here for GENG, I think it has so many advantages over what Hanwha put together, because if you go in with the Camille, sure, Hextech Ultimatum can buy you some time and you can try to lock down something like a Ziggs, but he's going to be so far away. You don't have other great targets here. The Corki can Valkyrie away. He's going to be at long range. Once you go in, there's no going out. Like, GENG will impale you and crush you in that fight. And when you look at the way that these fights are going to look for Hanwha to even be able to set that up, they need map control. You're playing into a Ziggs, you're playing into GENG's mid-game control.
You're also playing Jax into a full team of auto attackers. Like,
That doesn't feel bad.
No, that doesn't feel bad at all, because again, you have 3 damage threats. Keen should have an incredible amount of power. He can build full armor here as well, can pick up that Frozen Heart, can even go towards a Rendwinds down the line as well. And I do think that GENG, what they have here on red side, it works with what they've played. I think that this plan for Hanwha Life works wonders against T1. But the Ziggs and the way that GENG play around it is on a whole nother level.
This is the experiment that they are taking right now, seeing whether what they utilized against T1 is going to work as effectively against the Titans of the LCK for the last 2 years. It's a tall order, but it's one that they're going to have to see through if they want to see match point at the end of this one. See what they can get done here as we jump onto the rift for game 4. Now, it's really unfortunate because I don't want to interrupt the fan chants, but I have to sit there stewing in the fact that I said game 4 and we haven't seen game 3 yet. That's
okay.
happening right now.
I said the Rakan was blind when the Alistar was locked in just before. We all make mistakes, even though it's a grand finals. We're all human,
In
okay?
fact, maybe we make more
I was
mistakes.
holding it. I was like, do I acknowledge this? I said that? Is that weird? But now that you've done this, I can say this as well.
Oh, no, it's all
But Chronic was perfect. He
You
didn't
got to
make
get
any
it off your
mistakes.
chest. You got to get it off your chest.
Can we
I've
not?
been holding so many
I
of Chronicler's mistakes this whole series.
Thank you, Anderson. Oh my God, I was about to get very uncomfortable. One highlight that we do have, in fact, pace going for the teleporter, which shouldn't come as a surprise, is level 1. Counter-Strike is big.
Yeah, so is that rock. But it's going to miss. Oh, it's okay. That is also going to miss. A few things missing as the blast cone is going to come through. Another miss. Love to see it. No first blood as far as damage done has happened just yet. Maybe the blue sentinel is going to do it, but that does actually receive it here as Canyon is going to start off on his top side as well.
Peanut, though, going to be starting here on the red side blue buff. So this is something that that little skirmish and that attempt from GENG does give you an opening for, as Peanut's able to utilize that information incredibly well and is going untracked here in this jungle early. Very much sussed out here by Canyon. As you can see, he's going over to take his opposing blue buff as well. See what happens next here in terms of the setups as the Ziggs is going topside. Very difficult to punish the Ziggs when he lane swaps away from the Jhin. And even though the plate protection is there in the top lane, Ziggs is still going to be happy to just avoid those tough early levels, especially with the Alistar at level 1.
So there, you dodge the level 1 matchup. Lance is now already level 2, so even if you swap back, you're going to be fine. And especially with Phase Rush, we see yesterday when Carrier took a bad level 1 trade, how that snowballed the game. But also Ziggs kind of breaks lane swaps for 2 reasons. One is passive gives him so much damage to turrets. And then secondly, he has TP. Viper ended up going barrier, which I do think is warranted, given that you're playing into a lot of bursts. As we're trying to deny Keen access, but with Lance Dara and level 2, we'll see if they can get him. That shouldn't be
17 win streak.
Yeah, the 17 win streak is pretty good. The grand entrance is even better here as Lahans is going to go down. That's first blood to the Jhin. And I think that this one may look a little bit better in this game, especially considering the fact that the drafts have completely changed. Still a great start here for Hanwha Life Esports.
He's so empowered by the Maokai in this draft in general, but empowered by CC on a very low experience Jax, who's just trying to get what he can there in the top side. Doran goes top here faster. Keen's not going to opt to teleport since he can catch the wave there. But Doran going to feel pretty good about this Jax being, a little bit far behind after this play. The Alistar was died, excuse me, not the Jax on that last play. Oh, I did it twice now.
As
the Alistar's tripping me up.
You've had one, and now you're like, oh, the cow's in my head, man.
somewhat reminiscent of what happened pretty often in spring, which is Lahans getting caught out in this instance. Thought that he could, with the level 2, get to the turret, and then obviously when the teleport comes in, you're going to be completely fine. Not going to be the case. Do also note Keen held his TP. And it makes sense because he's playing towards the strong side of the map. Canyon right now is going to take that crab, and there isn't really an opportunity here to get a big dive on this wave, and it means that he does keep his advantage in terms of TP. Doran TP'd straight towards the top side of the map, and when everything is said and done, pretty solid lead here for Humble Life, mainly due to the fact that that kill came through. Is going to stabilize a little bit once Keen catches this giant wave.
Yep. He's only on 4 CS right now, so you're hoping that he'll be able to catch the majority of that one as Doran is pushing in. I think it's actually working out very well for Humble Life Esports, though, because it's such a volatile top matchup. Sort of feels like whoever gets the better start is the one that dictates terms in the top lane when it comes to the Camille versus Jax.
Absolutely. I think this really affects how much opportunity Keen's going to have to show the skill expression of what we have been described as a skill matchup here. Sure, he gets the Counter-Strike on a Doran here, but is zoned out of a lot of this farm. He's going to get the crucial experience, but he will lose a lot of that gold. And I mean, this is already going to be advantage Doran, so Keen's opportunities, again, feel a little bit less in this top matchup.
Somewhat muted. You can see Zeka pushing out this wave in the mid lane. Checking in on where the junglers are, you can see that Canyon has actually gone up a couple of camps as far as his path is concerned, working out very well. But we know that Peanut, it's not about farm when it comes to his Maokai. He just wants to be in the right places at the right times, and that is what he's been doing. 17 Maokai games in a row.
That's the price that Peanut paid, which again, you'll be very happy to pay for showing bot side and getting that kill on to Lahens. It's that Canyon just got to farm camps without being really challenged. And I do think that eventually, with the current state of both Jax and Camille, Jax is going to get to a point where he can carry us.
Yeah, this is a rough time, as we're not going to be able to queue out of that one. Zeka has to flash to remove himself, doesn't have the ultimate available just yet. So he's going to have to use that very important summoner spell right after teleporting, my goodness.
Yeah, that is really rough for Zeka. Now down both summoners. We'll be able to catch this wave, it looks like here. Level 6 for a Corki isn't going to be a death sentence. And he is still relatively healthy on this Yone, so it's going to be okay for him. Yeah, still has his ultimate as well. His Delight's just kind of shadowing him. But this means GENG have a lot of control over the Grubs right now. They have a numbers advantage here. Tough for Keen to rotate his way in.
Yeah, Doran does have the inside track, so that's going to help out. There's the Flash Grand entrance. It's going to connect onto Peanut here. Onto Lahens, sorry. As the hook shot comes on through, there's the flash in from Doran. He wants steak for dinner, and he might just find it. The fate is sealed. And Zeka picks up the kill. It's another one for Humble Life Esports, and now they're looking for some grubs.
And GENG looking disjointed because Keen was catching the wave, wasn't able to make his way over. So the rest of the team playing really aggressively for a contest on these grubs. Doesn't end up working out. Kane going for a steal.
Yeah, a little bit of a drive-by situation here. Wants to be able to grab one of them, but there are 3 versus 2. In goes Keen, and they take down the tree. It's going to be the Skarner looking one up and down. Chovy a couple of autos, and Zeka is just dead. Delight in trouble too, and it's a double for the Corki. And it went so well at the beginning, but it's just all gone on its head now as Humble Life Esports all just lying in the dirt, and GENG. What?
How did it turn it around? Keen, we think he's missing, but he's like, no, guys. Watch me. Just wait for my moment, and then he comes up huge.
Hey, it's like, I'm just getting a gigantic wave, and then I will stun them all and they will die. You guys can die a little bit before. Maybe that was the communication, I don't know.
I mean, obviously Peanut doesn't have his ultimate in this fight. There's nothing he can do if he gets collapsed on like that. And Keen is now going to turn this story on its head completely. Not only does he pick up the kill there, 2 assists to his name, as well as now all of that plate gold he just got. They do end up getting only the 1 grub out of the play. But I mean, this is the beginning of the fight, right? It's a great engage for Delight. Lahens is out. Canyon trying to push and wrap around here to deny Doran's entry, but that was never going to happen. So it's super disjointed for GENG. But the more important fight is the follow-up. And this time they won't have Zeka's ultimate. Zeka's backing. Chovy has the fast track in here. And look at Canyon. When he goes in, I think Humble Life should have realized there's no way we can win this fight if Doran shows up, or sorry, if Keen shows up. Disaster.
That's also both faces of Doran. First, gets a perfect hook shot flash over the wall, and then on the subsequent play, misses his hook shot, doesn't actually hit the wall, as Canyon might be in trouble.
Okay, yep, that is a jump scare if ever I've seen one. Does find an Impale on 2, but what is the answer after that? That's the question, and the answer is a sealed fate, as they are going to keep him alive for a while because they wanted Viper to get the kill, and ultimately that is precisely what they'll achieve. I'm Alive now looking to try and get something down here towards its bottom side, but the Dragon has already been taken. That was secured by I'm Alive Esports earlier on, and they'll also get a jungler as a little bit of dessert there. Nicely done. So good answer back here from I'm Alive Esports, but they are still down a few hundred gold after a bit of a disastrous play around the Grubs.
Yeah. Still a pretty decent position here for GENG. It might get better.
Yeah, that wasn't necessarily the greatest of trades there for Doran, who just gets leapt on and destroyed. And then cocks his head a little bit in the player cam, as you can see there.
He did E into hook shot.
Yeah,
sorry, E
hook shot into the stun of a
Counter-Strike.
He hook shot into Counter-Strike, and
that's the Jax part of the skill matchup expression.
But he had it up.
It's pressing.
But it's already spinning, Atlas.
It's pressing the second part of the Counter-Strike.
Toby's also going to get a plate here, and you know the ways in which we were really thinking about talking about Honorable Life in this game, or for me, was going to be around the fact that they have successfully once again denied Ziggs from getting early value on plates with this Jhin, and it's not an accelerated game for pace. He may be the best Ziggs player in the LCK, but Honorable Life have found the answer. The problem is everything else. The problem is these small fights, these small skirmishes, and Keen. I mean, you don't want to go back in on when he's spinning.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy because it looks like he thought it was going to time out as a Keen. He might be in some trouble here.
Yep, Doran just calling in his mates here as Delight is also in a lot of trouble. The Nature's Grasp is going to come on through, moves out of the way of the turret there, trying to buy as much space as he could find, but not going to be able to escape. So now a killing spree for Viper is very scary. But I don't know what it all means yet, gentlemen. The gold is completely even. Canyon's now found another target as they just separate Doran. Top laners are just not having a great time, except, oh, that's a gorgeous Impale. Zeka says, oh, my people need me. I'm going to have to leave. But Doran doesn't have that option.
Okay, and now Pace is getting value. They stopped him for so long, and now he's up here getting this whole turret.
So maybe the caster curses are too strong.
So game 1 was cinema. Game 2 was kind of a beatdown. Game 3 is a cartoon. I don't know what's happening. Everyone's getting dove in sides.
We just needed Doran to say
Game 3 is a TikTok chronicler. Oh, doesn't get the final shot. So I want to calm down a little bit if the teams will let me. So we have Keen in a great position. Yes, he did just flash, but is actually now in a much better spot. As unfortunately, we are going to look at him going down. This is something we see very often, right? Like the TP into multiple people when you don't have the control, when your jungler's on the other end of the map. Even in a lane swap meta, and arguably even more so, we've seen this. Pretty nice punish there from Hanwha. And then Doran is here. And I know that he saw Canyon earlier, but I'm pretty sure at some point he probably should have been able to make his way out.
I think the thought process here is there's no way we can get up to rotate to deal with the Ziggs right now, so I need to actually cross-map in mid, but he doesn't actually realize the setup there and where everybody is, wants to go in there, but there's also Lehens there. You know, it's just very difficult to make this play work, and it ends up being he dies, and they get that whole topside turret, so this is huge for GENG, and Paze gets a big injection of gold that he's been so desperately needing this game. When Corki is already accelerated, Ziggs has gold, and really the shining light here for Hanwha Life is Viper. He's on Jhin. At least this composition makes sense for the Jhin. Unlike the last one where it felt like the utility isn't enough, this time he's going to have both damage and utility with the items he has already put together. How quickly he's going to get that second one.
Yeah, not to mention the fact that they have so much zone control with the Nature's Grasp and the Curtain Call, and there's an extra damage dealer. Theoretically, if Doran holds it together a little bit after some of these interesting plays early, this Camille will be a dominant force late game. And yeah, we know, he doesn't really tilt that much anymore.
This is just a normal Doran experience.
Yeah.
This is what happens. Still, when it comes to experience, is still fine, has been able to pick up a lot of CS. Main issue, obviously, has been just getting caught a bunch of times now.
And opting in for weird 1v1s.
Yes, yeah, that also was definitely... I mean, I know he had a level lead, but...
I mean, as we've seen yesterday, sometimes Camille has a big spike later on after cleaning up some kills, getting some time in side lanes, having the ability to take out some inner turrets, for example. Like, she can be relevant later on, but the truth is, after a good start, he's just going to be pretty irrelevant for a little while here, and it's not really up to him as to how the rest of this game is going to go. He's just an engage button now. He's just an engage bot. Is it going to be putting threat onto anyone in sides? But GENG has so many tools to keep the distance away from this Camille. That's what I'm most concerned about. And if he's not threatening sides and he's just catching waves as he is now, it's not the ideal Camille experience. It can get better if he's able to get some picks, if they can win some team fights, but that's a big if at this point. GENG setting up for our second Drake. We don't know what the soul is going to be just yet, but they have a huge amount of prio right now.
Double TP available. Triforce done for both top laners as well. Also, we didn't get a second contest on the Herald. It actually was, or on the Grubs rather, it's just straight to this. And yeah, even with the vision that they have, I don't really think Home Alive are in a great position here. As Zeka trying to catch Canyon unaware, but doesn't end up being the case.
Cute little maneuver there, as Ox was not paying attention, and unfortunately, this one is going to go to the wayside. And Zeka now pushing towards the bottom side. Looks like Herald is going to be the next port of call here, as we do have the makings of maybe a little skirmish, but no, it looks like Home Alive Esports going to give that one up as well.
Yeah, I mean, they just don't have the setup. I mean, Zeka has TP, but there's no great ward for him to go to actually come in and collapse and punish this. Viper is controlling the mid matchup, well, not the AD carry matchup in mid, of course.
Yep.
Controls that wave, has prio there, but it doesn't lead to anything. And this is just going to simply be Herald going over to GENG. They got that last dragon, which at this stage of the game will still be quite relevant with some of that additional healing to come through. They're kind of just starting to get everything here on the map. And the Ziggs will eventually, even though it wasn't hyper-accelerated like we've seen in the past, will become a turret-killing machine very soon. As soon as that second item is online, starts to get a few more levels in. The passive plus the satchel charge means if he just has any time, the turrets go down. On Hanwha Life, really need to grab this game by the horns. They need to be able to set up a team fight. There's no objective, though, for 340 because they couldn't get that prio on the last dragon. They couldn't find their way to the Herald. And those are two big tools you can use to set up a fight, to force a fight on your terms if you can get there first. But they were behind on the play. They were slow to get there. And GENG just get away with it twice for free.
I do want to say, Chemtech's all kind of cool for like Yone and Camille and stuff. Like there's shields going on there. Maybe it's not that bad.
Tenacity.
Maybe you can sip some sap as well, you know, as Peanut. That sounds fun. The Gleaming Quill value? I'm sorry, Ox. I think it's totally fine.
I always appreciate a glass half full outlook, Atlas, even though I feel like you might not.
And if you get half a glass, it's going to heal you more.
Okay, now I'm definitely sure you weren't being genuine. But what I want to highlight is specifically the fact that we still have the Herald available, should be leading to the mid lane turret going down. And both teams, interestingly enough, are really hard to engage on. And both teams, I think, particularly Home Alive, like Home Alive's engage is exceptional, right? You have the ability to go in with Doran, to go in with Zeka. Peanut has a lot of range setup, and then you have a Rakan, which is one of the best engage supports. But they're playing into things like Ziggs, like Alistair, and engaging into Counter-Strike, engaging into Impale. That's always going to feel quite tough. And then on Home Alive's side, for disengage, they have Maokai, which, by himself, kind of just does all that.
Yep.
So I think we might have a lot of these stalemates, as we've seen thus far, where either team feels like, okay, I don't think we can approach here. We need to back off, which means that prio is ever more important. And then looking at the side lanes, once Chovy hits his mana in a spike, it's going to be quite a while before Zeka really gets to step up. And with the state that Keen is in, I think that the side lane should be in GENG's favor, which should make it very hard for Hanwha to consistently get to these objectives.
The mid turret, I feel like, is the crux of what Hanwha Life need. If they can get this mid turret, then they can actually start setting up some deeper vision. They can take fights on their terms. They can have prio. They can set up teleport wards for Doran.
Oh, decent little snare there as Lehens takes a forced shot to the noggin, but that is not going to be enough to take him down or anything like that. Fate sealed as Chovy trades it for a W.
Hard to engage on a Corki, as we've said as well. He can just get out of here. And Hanwha Life, they tried to get a pick. They want that mid turret so badly, but they're not going to get it. And instead, it's just going to be Keen taking massive control over here in the side lane. Corki trades, like you said, a basic for an ult. And GENG are just chilling.
And Canyon now actually looking to try and punish a little bit further. Of course, the Fate sealed a decent defensive tool as well. With that one down is Danger. So Pays now with a little bit of spare time, but just going to put down a little bit of a welcome gift for the wave, as Viper will be able to get back there. Does have the full drifting unit put together with all of that extra movement speed.
And what we're seeing already is that Canyon is just going full on the armor. We have double-plated steel caps here for GENG. And there is a lot of true damage slash mixed damage, because Zeka obviously will be doing a little bit of that. Doran has his Q, but the vast majority of damage that they're going to be doing is going to be it's going to be both physical and then also auto attacks. So like both Keen and Canyon, I think eventually are going to reach a point where if you don't straight up kill Chovy and or Paze, and even then it might not be enough because the Jax is there, you are going to be in some really deep trouble, and it kind of echoes game number 1. Then they found the miracle fight, right? They were able to get it done. I think this time around, that should be a lot harder as we are setting up for this Dragon fight.
Yeah, I mean, Zeka's about to have his ult up. I think that's going to be really critical. They do have all the tools to take this, and for once they actually do have that control. They do have that prio here for the Dragon. GENG didn't overcommit to that. Keen has teleport. Not a great ward for him to come to. He'll just have to walk from mid or one of these external wards.
Yeah, Canyon actually going a bit aggressive here, but the Unbound Soul is going to help Zeka stay safe in this moment. Rift Scuttler is going to go over to Peanut, but they have yet to start off this Dragon.
This is really tense. I mean, Hanwha want more than the Dragon. They want a team fight win here, but GENG are just being so timid. It's a Chemtech Soul, so they don't have to force.
Yeah.
Jax being
Keen's
tough.
backing.
Yeah, Keen now moving back towards the inner turret. It looks like maybe GENG not wanting to fight for this one as Canyon just drives through the wall and heads back to the mid lane. And yeah, they are going to give this one up. They're just going to look for some turrets if they can find them. Rift Herald is going to be thrown down, but Life Esports don't want to give it up without a fight. A possibility here as the headbutt pole does come in. The Impale, they just want to find any target and lock him down until I can't move for about 15 years, and then he can, and he gets out. Mega Inferno Bomb not going to be enough as Zeka, he just rebinds, and now the curtains have been called. Can they find anything? Can anyone die in this fight? Okay, yeah, Shelly. They do get Shelly. Sorry, Shelly. I mean, someone had to go down.
I'm pretty sure you just murder him if they... And then he turned it into a number.
No, he's like, I refuse to take down my challenger.
They didn't even get the charge on mid.
So Doran had to teleport to deal with Keen, so Keen has teleport advantage, right? And then they use both of their teleports also to protect this first minion, so the turret doesn't actually get those extra resistances. And then the second teleport...
Oh, he does get the knock-up, though. That was cool.
Yeah,
but they needed the damage!
Okay, but then the second teleport goes down onto the Herald as well. And so the Herald's just chilling. Both TPs are used, and it doesn't charge. And it's just kind of a disaster here. Keen could have continued to try to pressure the top side there. They could have actually moved away from the mid turret.
Okay.
Paze just kind of...
Clearly, neither Lehens nor Paze should be allowed to drive the Herald.
Yeah.
GENG, we've learned this lesson.
Yeah, this bottom lane, it is absolutely illegal. Unless Paze was doing it to try and spare his former, bottom lane partner.
Lehens had some good driving earlier in the series.
They got the lights. He did have to flash out of the ultimate. So
there you
I guess,
go.
Well, that's not
Perfect. It was beautifully done. And the chain, there was chain CC. It's an extra knock-up.
Yeah.
A little bit cute. It was pretty comical, the fact that no one really fell down. But as a result, moving past the situation, right?
So yeah,
we have
ultimately
a turret that doesn't go down, and we've got a Dragon that was taken there by Life Esports, and now Chovy's in trouble. Hextech Ultimatum comes in, the flash already down, Grand Entrance comes through, and Chovy, nothing he can do about that one. Wow, even the ultimate invested there from Peanut just for good measure, and now they're thinking maybe Baron is on the menu. I don't know about that one. Canyon's still alive and always has access to the pit, but they're still going to start this one up.
They still have really good turn here with the Yone ultimate, the Jin ult as well.
Yeah, Paze, he's teleported already.
This is early.
Inferno Bomb is up. This Baron's going down so incredibly fast, so they're all inside the pit. The Camille goes down so incredibly fast with the knockup. Great here, the baits get sealed, but Zeka also just straight up goes down. This Counter-Strike doesn't quite work. Life Esports, they have found a disengage. The curtains have been set, but now the Baron belongs to GENG. And Hanwha can't do anything about it. Peanut trying to get himself in there. Paze can't tank it up. He probably shouldn't be the one doing that as Lehens gets the wraparound and Paze gets himself over the wall. Still, Lehens does go down. Viper gets himself over the wall as the Baron is secured there by Canyon. It's absolute cinema. And GENG come out on top.
They could have just taken the TP and let it go. We're 22 minutes in. Ziggs is going to absolutely shred your team. If this is way later, then maybe you can get away with it. But Hanwha make a huge mistake.
That's mid turret down here already here. Baron power play sitting at 2+. 1,000 gold. And, I mean, Chovy gets picked here to start this off. This is why Hanwha Life felt like they had an opportunity. But unfortunately, you just used the Hextech ultimatum here to kill Chovy, so you don't have it for the turn. Also, critically, as you mentioned, Atlas, Peanut uses his ult as well. Those are two fantastic tools you have on the turn. You still have the Yone ultimate here. But unfortunately, GENG, it's their engage, it's their play here first, coming through from Keen to actually lock down that initial pick. Zeka gets the ult, but the fight is already won. It's already split up. That's a Jin, and he's just walking away from the fight. He ults here, but you can't get in, you can't do anything, and Lahenza's also holding the escape. So beautifully played from GENG.
And here we're also seeing like the value Keen will have in these extended fights.
Oh yeah.
Like, it's basically impossible to kill him. Counter-Strike gets insane, but even with just the stun, because outside of Jin, they're all melee, but then not only does he stun him, he's also dodging the auto attacks. He's now
And
going
he can
towards...
hit them at the same time.
It's kind of ludicrous, and again, I think that if that play happens later and you can take the Baron, like Baron was buffed for a reason, right? And I think we really see it there. They took so much more ambient damage than normally they would from the Baron, and now it's a Rebel Baron power play for GENG, which I don't think is going to lead to anything besides some inner turrets at best, and
What
a
about
dragon.
some Hextech Soul? Sorry, Chemtech Soul.
Well, they'll get one probably.
One step towards the infamous Chemtech Soul.
Yeah, it is going to be obviously quite powerful for them to get a lot of map control out of this, and it's just going to continue to snowball their lead that they have right now. They're sitting at 3,000 gold, the advantage. And this Jax is becoming a bigger and bigger problem, is able to buy the arm guard here for some additional safety, which feels fantastic given the comp of HLE. I think if HLE didn't use that Maokai ultimate right on that last pick onto Chovy, then maybe they could have turned, maybe they could have made that Baron work, but there's so many consequences of their actions here, and you can feel the pressure that GENG has on the map over them right now. And the Camille is just never able to push deep here, never able to threaten anything on the map, and GENG just group up, and they're going to start ripping these turrets out of the map. Like you said, an inner might be the best they can get, but it's map control that comes with that. It's the warding they have down on the bottom of the map here that comes with it as well.
Not to mention the fact that they now get to move through the enemy jungle over to this inner turret as well, putting pressure in so many places. There's the satchel onto the turret, and it's a free kill onto Doran at the same time. GENG might be able to use this as the teleport does come in, but Zeka, unfortunately, the Camille just goes down. He's not able to follow up on anything. The Nature's Grasp still up and available. A couple of ultimates still there. There's nowhere to really use them.
And we knew a win streak was going to get broken one way or another. Pace, I think 7-0 as of right now on the Ziggs. And then on the flip side, we're having the Maokai, but here this just feels really disjointed. Like, if Doran goes in, while Zeka is like right behind them with a TP, and you go in at the same time, then maybe all the cooldowns being used actually do something, but instead, Doran just goes in to die, the turret isn't saved, and now GENG further building upon this lead. And you can even argue that the fact that this Drake is kind of irrelevant is really good for them, because they just get to play their slow game. And again, I think once we get to late stage, eventually the fact that Hanwha Life is full AD is just going to become too big of an issue. And even if you do kill Paze or Chovy, like last time it was a Cassandra, now it's Keen on a 5-kill Jax.
And again, when you engage, we talked about as far back as the draft, there's no way out, right? You're going into the Impale, you're going into Lahenza's knockup, right? You're going into Counter-Strike re-engages from Keen, and it's just so frustrating to play into that if you don't get that kill instantly. And as those, as those resistances come through onto Canyon, as he's not going to get blown up. We saw already when he played Skarner last time, they weren't able to kill before he impales, and now it's just kind of impossible to kill this guy in general. Delight.
Yeah, Delight sort of just trying to be tricky here. It's kind of working as Viper comes around from the side. Does have his Mortal Reminder done, so that is going to help with a bit of that armor penetration.
Satchel.
Maybe just a little bit, but yeah, we're almost in
What?
satchel range. Unfortunately, it was not quite there.
Not quite. Needed a little bit
Oh,
more.
I can hear Ox fuming.
They didn't have the icon.
Yeah,
They didn't have a minion to help out, get it down a little bit lower, help them auto.
Well, the Cupcake, that ain't going to do it either, as Paze really wants to help push this one through. But in the end, it's going to be Keen here, just taking out a turret and then looking to take down a Doran as well. He's flashing in for this one, as, yeah, Tactical Sweep not really going to be doing too much there. Does avoid the Counter-Strike as he flashes away, and the Deadly Flourish comes down. So Doran keeps himself alive, puts everything into the play in order to get out. Still will survive.
I mean, if you want to really be a Hanwha advocate here, if you want to be a Doran advocate, at least now the Jax doesn't have flash. That means he can't flash on you with his Counter-Strike in the upcoming team fight.
There you go.
But otherwise, you did end up using your own. You did end up playing that extremely well and getting away, but you ended up losing the inner anyways, and that's more gold to the Shaxx that has his Zhonya's online. The gold lead is massive. And you know what, this Baron, oftentimes we go, oh, Baron gives you prio, it's going to give you the ability to fight for soul point, fight for soul. In this game, it gives you map control to fight for the next Baron, and the next Baron is where you start getting those inhibitors.
You know, that little zoom in from Jonas Strong was his way of saying, Keen, you didn't 3-0 like I predicted. I know you're 5-1, you missed the cannon, and I will not let that go unpunished.
And he did just catch back up after about a 30 CS deficit that he's held throughout the game.
Yup.
And now, you know, it's a mirrored 1-5 to a 5-1 on Keen's side here. The Jax certainly the one that is finding the angles here. Speaking of angles, there is the engage. The crash into the wall there from Peanut. He just flashes it though. Nature's Grasp does come down. Mega Inferno Bomb, not quite enough. And it's pure disengage here from Humble Life, not wanting to start anything without their tree being healthy. Warmox is up though, so Peanut doesn't necessarily have to go back to base in order to get that health bar back up again.
But he doesn't have his ultimate now, and that's the most critical tool, arguably more important than his flash for trying to set up this fight.
Well, Canyon might be out of position now too. There's another knock-up, decent damage here from Viper, but it's not quite enough for what they want to get done here. No real pick onto that tanky member of GENG. They reset the Phalanx and go on again.
You see the damage issue though. Skarner, even with Zeeks, which isn't necessarily, you know, it's a strong item, but it's more so about for the cost and the activation once you ult than it is for pure tank stats. But just with Randuin, so hard to get through here. Not really a lot of damage available. It means that if they don't do that, they probably try and start with the Baron, see what they get. Instead, they're probably gonna just be happy that they get the Dragon here, set up Soul Point, and Alma Life is just going to take as many waves, as many camps as they can get. We do have Viper on 4 items, right? We do have Zeka hopefully approaching his third in the upcoming fight. Level 16 here for the Yone.
I mean, I think this is the angle where you try to start a Baron fight and go for a Hail Mary here in turn, because this time you have your ults. This time you have the tools, you have Vision, you have the Scuttle. You lost the Dragon here, but I don't think it matters as much.
So it's about a 3,000 gold lead here in the top side of the map.
Yeah,
that's what we're illustrating there.
Yeah, it's you know, there's a bit of a difference in the impact of these two top laners of this game around, and the three of us have sat on similar stages in different cities and in different years.
Yep.
Watching Doran in grand finals have a tough one. This is one of those games. They didn't seize their opportunity while GENG were doing that Dragon to try to threaten the Baron. They're being very timid here, and I think that you've got to pull the trigger and do something risky when you have those ults, when you have those tools, and when you have that turn as Hanwha. If you just let GENG get it for free and you just sit back, you're not going to outscale them. You will not beat them in that longer game.
Oh, Doran in a little bit of trouble here as he tries to hookshot his way out. It just does not work. The ultimatum is something that GENG doesn't really care about because either option they're okay with. And Keen gonna step on a sapling and not worry about that one either. So now Doran dead once again. 6 deaths in this game, and GENG not even wanting to start the Baron. They just want to do it again. And Canyon, we'll just see whether he just keeps doing loop-de-loops here.
A little U-turn.
Until they all die.
It's a casual U-turn.
Yeah, I kind of like it.
I mean, how does Hanwha approach this? With Peanut's ult alone, it's not going to be enough.
With trepidation and care, Wolf. With trepidation and care as they throw down the ulti. The Fate Sealed was decent, but Pays goes golden to keep himself alive. Chovy follows suit. And GENG just keeping themselves up. The curtains have been called now, but Canyon able to tank it out. Keen as well, pretty, I say healthy. That last bullet was a little bit scary there now with these 4 items on Viper. And they do have a little bit of space to try and get some damage on this turret as, my God. Okay, does the dot do it? No, not quite.
All right, well, now Hanwha Life have their eyes on the Baron. All
yeah.
the tools are gone.
Hail Mary.
But this time you don't have the tools.
Yeah,
I know that, but I have to try something.
Yeah, can Skarner get through walls, guys? I think he might have a way into the pit. As now Pays moving on over to the side, Lehens, you know that he's lurking, and he gets on in there, the pulverize on too. Viper able to get that flash to get himself out, though. He's so much of the damage. And Doran, he manages to take down the cow. Corky goes down as well. The Baron is secured, though, by GENG. And Alma Life Esports, it was a bunch of funny business, but it wasn't funny enough to win them the game.
And even with Canyon impaling the air, it doesn't matter. GENG, they have the damage. This time they have multiple threats. Yes, Chovy goes down, but it just doesn't matter. And they're about to head up to 2-1, breaking the win streak of this Maokai that has terrorized the LCK and the global stage for so long.
Yep, a win streak was going to die in this one, and it looks like, unfortunately for Peanut, it is going to be his on his tree. Nexus turret does go down, and this Nexus not long for the world. The short fuse of the Ziggs is enough to take it down, and GENG moves to match point in the series, and look to keep that 5-peat well and truly alive.
We asked the question, was the Maokai for Ziggs trade worth it for the side of Hanwha Life? We had a few different takes here on this casting desk, but I think really, ultimately, it wasn't about the Ziggs in this one as much as it was about Jax getting ahead and Hanwha Life looking lost with this composition. And you lose a game like this when you have blue side and you look a little bit lost on what to do in the mid game. You fell behind. You don't take the Baron calls you should. You take the ones you shouldn't. You refuse to turn when you need to. These small decisions make you wonder if GENG are now in Hanwha Life's head here as they move to match point. GENG in such a good position for this series now taking their red side win, taking back that pick prio for the rest of the best of 5. And this is where Hanwha fans start to worry.
Also, in game number 1, Zeka had a standout performance. In game number 2 was already feeling that the Zir just didn't really hit the mark. And this one as well, the Yone, we always will be excited when this guy locks it in. But Chovy, we haven't really talked about, has now had 3 amazing games, even though the first one was not enough. The Corki, and it just, again, it's starting to feel like GENG have too many issues. And this is a stark reminder that even Keen, the guy that is just blinding Kasante and picking on, when he gets counterpick, he can carry a game.
Exactly right, and he's also the one that's the most confident on Jax. We know that Doran really loves it, but Keen's the one that invented it, and now they have match point. We're going to go to a short break. When we get back, the space is going to break it down, and we'll have maybe the last game of this series, or maybe the start of Silver Scrapes. See you there.
라클 느리긴 해. 나 그냥 빨라서 끝날 때 이거.
라클 없어.
오케이, 그냥 끝날 만한데 이거. 다음 라인도 그냥 쓸 생각하자.
이거 라인 지킬만 해. 바로 들어왔어.
그냥
끝날 때. 라클 없어.
잘만 해봐.
네, 뭐 카멜 노공이 이거
이거 너가 카멜 갈고리 막아.
내가 갈고리 막아줄게.
그냥 내 앞에 나 타워 찍는 거.
이거 들어오면 그거부터 잡아야 된다.
그냥 나 타워 찍는 거 방해하는 거.
라카는 무시한다. 나 카멜만 본다.
이거 아래 그냥 쳐.
카멜 막 가.
카멜 노공이야.
야 타워 칠게 타워.
타워.
야 끝내자.
끝내면 돼.
나이스.
나이스요.
나이스.
너무 잘했다.